Welcome to the Tradies in Business podcast with your hosts Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Divert your phone and grab a brew as Waz and Nic unpack tips, tales, secrets and stuff-ups from guests both inside and outside your trade, helping educate and inspire you to break the cycle of gut-busting and money stress and create a true trade business.
Good morning, Warwick.
Good morning.
I got in before you did. Yay.
Well, after yesterday and you saying you can see when I hit the red button,
Again.
I thought, I'm going to hit the red button and be quiet.
Oh, so, okay. Right. Good to know. You let me say good morning then. It wasn't that just I was a quick draw McGraw. Now you're not saying anything.
I didn't want to invalidate you, Nicole.
You do this often when we start.
Invalidate you.
No, you never invalidate me. When we start the drawing board sometimes, when you're in on the joint meeting that we do, you'll often say, and I'm going to let Nicole steer today and I'm going to sit here and be quiet. And I think to myself, there's no way he's going to be quiet. And then you sit there with your lips sewn together and don't say anything. It's hilarious.
Well, you know, I try and do what I say I'm going to do. So if I say I'm going to leave you out to dry, then I'm going to do it.
Yes, it's a skill. Good morning, listeners. Welcome to the Tradies and Business podcast. It's great.
How the heck are you on a Thursday? It's fist. No, yes. It's fist day today. It is fist day today. Far out. It's still Thursday. How's your week treating you, listeners? What have you been up to? Have you left us a review on the podcast yet?
Please do.
I know you haven't because I checked. You stingy bugger. But yeah, go leave us a review because you know why? It helps other tradies like you find this darn podcast amongst all the other riffraff here in iTunes and Spotify. I don't even know if we're on Google Podcasts or whatever it is yet because they are notoriously difficult to get a podcast submitted to.
Google would never be difficult. Warwick, what are you saying?
Oh my gosh. I was thinking about this the other day, how we've ended up with a corporation deciding what we are able to access on this thing that gets called the public domain, but there isn't public. There's nothing public about the internet. It's all completely controlled by a bloody corporation.
Holy moly, this is a rabbit hole. I think I'm gonna step aside and let you fall into your own hole.
Well, I was thinking about it and then I thought, you know what's really cool? That we don't do that with our drawing board members.
Oh, Chuck Norris, how are you?
That was pretty corny, wasn't it?
It wasn't
It wasn't
corny.
My best effort. It was probably about a 3 out of 10.
Well, it's the best I think we could have done under the circumstances, so I'll give you a 7.
Well, I had to pull that rabbit up by the reins because that was a very, very deep and dark rabbit hole, the whole Google thing. So.
And we might have just disappeared from the interwebs forever.
They might ban us, Coxie.
They could. We'd be gone. People Google
Jeez.
Tradies of Business, they won't find us because we've been black banned.
I almost feel like making it a life goal to have a video pulled down from YouTube because it breaches community guidelines and standards, meaning we don't agree with you, so we're going to remove your video.
Oh, can we not do that as part of Tradies of Business, please? Could you please do that independently? I'm not sure I share that goal.
I wouldn't do that to you, Coxie.
I know you wouldn't. Not without talking to me first, anyway.
But I reckon that's pretty cool. I feel like that's when you know you've made it in the human race is when YouTube pulls down one of your videos talking about the truth behind COVID or something.
So that's how you measure, that's the metric you use to measure your success, is that your video will be taken down off YouTube.
Not success broadly, but just an adherence to my own ability to think freely and not just follow along like a sheeple. Meh.
Okay.
Which is not what our drawing board members do. We have some excellent debates and discussions in the drawing board.
We have some pretty high quality conversations in the drawing board. Sometimes they leave me with scratching my head because I think, how on earth did we get to that point? But they're all very necessary and interesting.
And it's cool because I like the free sharing that goes on without any fear of it being taken down.
Yes, or judged. That's
Yes.
loose, but yes, that or it being
or
judged.
censored in any way.
There's no
You
censoring.
No. It's just a lot of open collective problem solving, I think, is really what it's all about.
I think so. That's probably a really good way to put into loose terms what group coaching looks like, which is what we want to talk about today. So if you didn't get from Warwick's Google problems to this point, I'm really sorry about that. I'm not responsible for Warwick's stuff. What we're actually going to talk about today.
You just disowned me, didn't you, Coxie?
No, I might have left you under the bus. We're going to talk about the drawing board and what goes on in the drawing board because we're getting some questions. Now, we've got some people who are ready to make some change in their business, hence why we talked yesterday about the trade desk. Today, we're going to talk about the next level, leveling up in your business. We're going to talk about the drawing board.
Sounds hard.
It's actually not. It's incredibly supportive in a way that feels pretty comfy. But there are times when it's uncomfortable. I don't want to lie about this. It can be uncomfortable in the beginning when you're having to share your dirty laundry a bit. But it's not. We put you with nice people and they will stroke your shoulder and say, it's okay. You're going to be all right. We're going to help you make a change. Yeah,
and we probably joke perhaps a little too much, Coxie, about dropping your pants and all this uncomfortable stuff that you're going to do when you work with us or in our groups. And look, there's definitely an element of that to it at times, but largely there's just lots of collaborative, supportive conversations around, well, what did you do that's worked?
Yes.
Or has anybody else faced this issue? And I think that's really where people are getting a ton of value because they can actually talk to another business owner in the trades and find out real world, real time what other people are actually doing instead of just popping along to a one-day seminar and getting a whole bunch of theory, which has its place.
Oh, definitely.
But I think that's where the real it's really hard not to use cliches because everything gets said so much. You know, the rubber hits the road, or that's where the gold is. And there's my stupid American-y kind of accent again. But yeah, that's where people are mining the diamonds. That's probably just as bad, isn't it?
Okay, can we just say that's where they get the value?
That's where the good shit is.
Can we take it back a step though? Because I think
did I go too fast for you?
No, but you and I talk a lot about what we do because we know what we're doing, but I don't think we make it really clear what this actually looks like. So I want to talk through exactly what being part of the group coaching program called the Drawing Board actually looks like. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Great.
I think that's a fabulous idea.
Well, I think because it used to have me scratching my head before I ever tried coaching. I didn't really understand it. I didn't understand what a coach did. We have covered that a couple of times in various other podcasts and blog posts. Essentially, a business coach is like having a football coach and they're there to get the best out of you. Really simple. Simple as that. But what that looks like in a group coaching program is we're going to bring you together. Warwick and I will bring you together with a handful of other tradies, so 4 to 6 trade businesses in total, and you will meet with us or one of us and your fellow board members on a weekly basis. And in those meetings, you will have done a little bit of prep work in which you give us an idea on what you think your goals might be. You've taken a look at your cash flow and you've filled out a few charts so that we can all understand what that looks like. And can I just reassure everybody, for a large proportion of our tradies, that cash flow thing it takes a couple of months to understand. It's not necessarily hard, but it's new information that you've not necessarily been privy to or found out about your business before. So many of us are just looking at the profit and loss or being told by the accountant at the end of the financial year, oh, you made this profit, but we don't know where the money is. This tool that we have will help you figure out where the money went or where it's going to go so that you can look forward and start to project what might be happening Not scary, a little uncomfortable if you don't like talking about money, which most business owners don't. And that's okay, because we're there to support you through that. And all your other board members are there to support you through that too. So we'll take a look at what you think your goals are, and we'll take a look at what your cash flow is looking like, and then we'll help you really deep dive into those goals, pull them apart, and find the action steps so that you move forward to making that change or reaching that goal. In a nutshell, that's what it looks like. So it
Sounds
means
pretty straightforward, Coxie.
Well, I think so. For you and I, again.
It wasn't straightforward the other week.
When? Oh,
Yeah,
well,
we had
no.
a pretty funky session that week.
Well, we have sessions that are complicated because we're dealing with people and
Yeah.
stuff. You know,
Yeah.
we deal with also, and maybe this is a really great thing to talk about too. What sort of things do our members talk about? And I'm going to let you talk a bit because I'm going on and on and on. But why don't
No, I'm enjoying
you share what sort of problems our members, or we call them requests for input. So rather than coming with a problem, we ask you to come with a question or a possible solution, and then ask us all what we think about that. What does that look like? Have you tried this? So what sort of things do we talk about, Warwick?
Oh, we talk about where do you go to find good team members?
That's a big one.
And then even if you've figured out some of the places to go and look for them, how do you actually attract the good ones? Like, what sort of ad should you write? Do you need a good headline, or is it about the money? Like, there's some great, I guess, deep dives. There's rabbit holes. You know, if you enjoy our rabbit holes here on the podcast, if you think you've heard rabbit holes, you should sit in on some of these drawing board sessions. And that's the thing, though, Coxie, is I really enjoy those board meetings because, which is what I refer to them as, because they're kind of like you're sitting on a board of directors with a bunch of other board members, and everyone has input, but you're all around the table looking at a particular issue on the board or on the table, on the whiteboard, and everyone's sort of collectively looking at, okay, so if this was my business, how would I solve that? Or what would I think of that idea? And in fact, in my business, I've tried that and it tanked and didn't work. And what we found was that we ran this particular sort of ad and we used this person to write it for us, and it absolutely knocked it out of the park for us. And bugger me if that other board member didn't go and do the same thing and got a fantastic result as well.
It's interesting, isn't it?
And that all popped out in the space of like 2 or 3 weeks instead of bumbling around for months trying to work out where and how are we going to get the right person for this role in our business.
So that probably brings me to the second half of what group training or that's what it is. It's group coaching, group training. The second half of what that is about is like when you go to a PT or you train with your team, it's about being accountable. So it's really easy for us to say, oh, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. But it's actually quite easy then to make excuses as to why that didn't get done. So the advantage of having us in your lives, specifically me with my great big stick, is that you manage to get stuff done that you didn't think that you could get done, because the wrath of Coxie is not pleasant. Ask my children. Which is not true. But there's a real sense of accountability to us and to your board members, because suddenly you feel like, okay, well, they're moving forward. It's like being in a team again. They're moving forward. They're doing great stuff in their business. I really want to be doing really good stuff too. And I now know that I need to do X, Y, Z to get to that point. So I'm going to do that this month because I want to be able to proudly stand up in my time, in my space, within my board meeting and say, look what I did this month.
Yep, I got that done, and here's what I think I should do next. What do you lot reckon?
Yes.
And it's like, no, have you thought about this? Ooh, no, I hadn't thought about that. It's you know what it's like, Coxie, I think? This is my perspective only, of course. It's like having 3 or 4 or 5 business partners that you get to meet with on a weekly basis, really, in various formats. But you get to meet weekly with 4 or 5 business partners who bring a different perspective to the issues and the challenges. And it's that collective problem solving and idea generation that just really seems to speed up the rate that our drawing board members get stuff changed in their business. It's actually quite. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. Been in this coaching gig for years now, more than a decade. But I'm actually really pleasantly surprised at how quickly some of our members take off, and the I'll call them epiphanies, Coxie,
Yes.
about cash flow and HR and systems and social media and some of those things that can, let's face it, when you go the DIY approach, it's better than nothing at all. But you sort of, you're doing it on your own a bit, and there's a bit more error than trial sometimes.
Yes.
But when you've got your fellow board members there, it's kind of like a safety net where you get to test things before you go out and make it live. And there's some businesses changing quite quickly. So that's really great to see.
It's very exciting. It's like the builder is a football coach. He's coached many amazing teams of kids, and when I say amazing teams, I'm not necessarily talking about physical ability. I'm talking about the sense of camaraderie and growth he's able to create within a team. Now I get to do it too, and it's really satisfying to watch the growth that happens really quickly within the business owners themselves, and then therefore their business and therefore their team, and even growth in client satisfaction and growth in professionalism. And growth doesn't necessarily mean you're going to take your company and 10x it. Growth can mean just having a more fulfilling business. So that
even in relationships.
Most definitely.
I particularly, because that was one of the problems I chose to solve several years ago that I've recently talked about, is the relationship stress. And, I've had my own, I still haven't quite worked out how to language it in a way that says what I mean. But, my last marriage broke down, and, had all the separation and the kid living in a single parent household and all that stuff go on. And sadly, a lot of that was from financial stresses and in my own life. And so that's been a big problem that I want to solve, is the impact on relationships and families of business stress. And I freaking love seeing the comments that get made by some of our drawing board members along the way about the way the communication's changed in the marriage.
Yes.
And between the husband and wife when they're working in the business, or even if they're not. It's just, that's the stuff where I think, oh, yes, that is making a difference. And I'm just super stoked for those members to be getting those results so quickly.
It's incredible how quickly it can happen. And my own motivation is the struggle for many tradies in their mental health. And it comes about through, most often, the start is business pressure or financial pressure. So like your motivation, it's really important to me to see these changes being made. And like you say, the changes in conversation, the changes in the ability to share with a partner or to look at something from a different perspective, or make a change in your business so you actually get to spend some time at home, or understanding your cash flow as it's changing from month to month and what you can do to prevent the holes. They're the key issues that can very quickly create the problems. Now, when you're looking at them frequently and actually making choices that can change what happens next, you can avoid a lot of those or fix a lot of those if you're already in that difficult spot. So for me, I think, well, we do know we have a pretty similar motivation. It's just phenomenal to see the growth.
It's multifaceted, Coxie. And look, I know this sounds like an infomercial for the drawing board. And to be honest, listeners, it is, because our people that Coxie and I trust and value their feedback, which is all of you, but we have some people closer to us that that do give us feedback is that we don't actually tell you about what the heck it is we do outside of making free podcasts and having a really cool community on Facebook. We actually do this other stuff. So we thought it might be useful to let you know that it's there. And, if you're interested in finding out more, by all means, hit us up. You can check it out via the website or drop us a DM on Facebook. You could send us an Instagram message. You can pick up the telephone. Actually, no, you can't because we don't have a phone number anywhere.
No, if you've emailed us, you'll find our telephone number pretty quickly.
But we just want you to know about it. We want you to know that this stuff is available. It doesn't cost a heck of a lot of money. We've made it purposefully very affordable compared to many of the other options out there because that has been some of the feedback along the way. And we just want everybody to have an opportunity to make change.
We do.
And that's why we're doing this. So if any of this resonates with you, if you feel a little lost sometimes, if you're a trade desk member and you're a bit overwhelmed by all the stuff and how you're going to get it done and where you should start, but you're sort of looking at taking some more responsibility, if you're feeling ready for some accountability from others, but if you're also feeling like maybe you've got something to give back as well to some other trade business owners, perhaps you've had some good results in a particular area and you feel like you could add some value to others, it really is a bit of a mutual exchange. And it's all facilitated by Coxie and me, of course, to keep things on track and obviously bring our experience of having worked with hundreds and hundreds of clients over the years to basically speed up the rate of change. If any of that sounds of interest, then hit us up, drop us a line, and we'd love to have a chat to you. There's a bit of a process with the boards. They're not running all the time. There's a bunch running concurrently at the moment, but we open new ones sort of in a timely basis. And, if we don't have one available, we can pop you on a wait list. But, yeah, hit us up, find out some more info. Maybe you know someone who could benefit from it. Conversation costs you nothing.
And we're really nice people. We're not hard to talk to.
People say you're really nice.
Oh, they say we're both really nice.
Yes, we don't bite. Coxie jokes about being the big stick lady, but she really can be very compassionate and understanding.
Oh, that's
just
a
before
nice
she
thing to
kicks
say.
you in the ghoulies.
I haven't had anyone complain that I kicked too hard yet.
And with that, we might wrap this episode up, Coxie.
Thank you for listening. I do hope that, if nothing else, it was informative and you now understand what we're talking about. Even that would make me happy.
I understand a lot more. I've got a lot more clarity now, Coxie.
Pleased you do. Be a bit frightened if you didn't.
Thanks for tuning in, listeners. Make sure you go check out everything we've got to offer. Pants down on the website. You can see it all there. And if there's anything at all that you think we can help you with, then drop us a line. We love a chat.
We do like a chat. Well, Warwick especially. Not that I'm sure you'd figured that out at any point in time. Hope to see you soon.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Tradies in Business podcast with Warwick Bidwell and Nicole Cox. Find out more about today's guest, tools for your trade business, and other cool stuff at tradiesinbusiness.com.au.